Back with another installment of Shadows Over Innistrad Remastered set review, and on to the black cards. Arms of the Vein first. 2 and a black, target opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, but as mana for a single black. I've seen some blood-based burn decks with cards like Fiery Temper. So Arms of the Vein is a card that could crop up in Explorer. The other 2 cards here, Biting Rain and Borrow Malevolence, not really going to make a big impact on Arena. However, there is an important card missing here, and that is Behold the Beyond. 5 black, discard your hand, search your library for 3 cards, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. It's a card that saw no play anywhere outside of like Commander for ages, however, has become a staple, as a one-of, admittedly, in the Pioneer Lotus Field deck, and so it was a ridiculous card to miss. Multiple copies of Behold the Beyond in the top 8 of the most recent Pro Tour in Philadelphia. Behold the Beyond not being in Shadows Over Innistrad Remastered is ridiculous. On to the next few cards, there's some interesting pieces here. So Call the Bloodline, I just talked a little bit about Madness, but 1 and a black for an enchantment, and then 1 discard a card, create a 1/1 Vampire Knight creature token with lifelink, adds for only once each turn. It's a neat Madness enabler. It doesn't really see a ton of play in Pioneer. I don't expect to have a huge impact on the format, but it's kind of cool. Certain Death, way too expensive, not playable. Collective Brutality is a really nice one though. 1 and a black for a sorcery, escalate, discard a card, to activate multiple modes, and then choose 1 or more. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose an instant or sorcery card from it, and that player discards that card. Okay, that kind of like Duress style effect. Target creature get -2/-2 until the turn. Okay, nice, some decent removal versus aggro. And then target opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, helps you survive versus burn. It's a great one if you've got extra cards in your hand that you don't need, or alternatively, and this is the most like powerful use case, is that you have cards that you want to put in your graveyard. If you're playing something like Dredge, which is one of my favourite decks, that's going to get some boosts in this set. And so Collective Brutality, really nice. Carrying on here, Crow of Dark Tidings, not doing anything. Dark Salvation is a cool card that I've seen play in the Zombies deck in Pioneer Explorer, but is of course already on Arena from Jumpstart. And then Dead Weight is a card that's a neat way to enable Delirium if you want like a kind of cheap removal spell, but not probably going to make a big impact. We just talked about Jumpstart with Dark Salvation, but Diagraph Colossus is another card that also came to Arena that way. A very powerful card in Zombies, 2 and a black, Diagraph Colossus enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each zombie in your graveyard, and then whenever you cast a zombie, it makes a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. Really important kind of engine card for Zombies, which is a reasonable deck in Pioneer Explorer. Not really on that tier 1 level, but hey, still around. Dusk Feaster, too expensive to really make an impact on Arena, and then Ever After is actually a pretty neat reanimation spell, but is quite expensive. So 4 black, return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is a black zombie, this looks like colours and types, and then it goes on the bottom of your library. We've just got some new targets to reanimate, things like Atraxa, but hey, probably a little too expensive really to impact the format. Next up here, Gavanian Hallowed, Ghoul-Call's Apprentice, Giss's Bidding. Again, not making an impact really, all of these kind of too expensive or not doing enough. Moving on, Graph Harvest, Grotesque Mutation, neither card really doing much. Haunted Dead, which is again another card already on Arena here, but at least it's an uncommon, not a rare. 3 and a black for a 2/2, when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 spirit creature with flying, and then 1 and a black, discard 2 cards, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Really powerful card actually, especially with Prized Amalgam. Haunted Dead, a really good enabler for that, and like the Dredge style decks in the format. Indulgent Aristocrat here, not really up to much. There aren't tons of great sacrifice effects available. We're missing like Cartel Aristocrat. We do have things like Woe Strider, but Indulgent Aristocrat a bit too expensive. Liliana's Elite, while it is a cool effect, gets +1/+1 for each card in your graveyard, you have some other more powerful alternatives. Liliana the Last Hope though is a nice addition to the format. 1 black, comes in on 3 loyalty, +1 gives a creature -2/-1, which used to be a lot better than it is now. It still kills some things like versus mono white, but for example all the red threats actually kind of dodge this. You're not really playing any 1 toughness creatures anymore. -2, mill 2 cards, then you return a creature card from your graveyard to the hand. And this is kind of where the card's going to excel if it sees much play in the format. That +1 is okay, and obviously it does like still reduce your opponent's damage output, but the -2 being able to recur cards is very powerful. And then the -7, it does have a game-ending ultimate kind of eventually. You get an emblem at the beginning of your end step, create X 2/2 zombie creature tokens where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. You'll eventually drown your opponent in zombies, that's the idea. It's a pretty sweet card, will probably not be like a 4 of, like it was back when it was the standard, but it's the kind of card that will crop up from time to time in like 1 or 2s, either main decks or sideboards. So Macabre Waltz here, Merciless Resolve, not really up to much. Minor Rat Demon is a sweet card, 2 black for a 4/5 flyer with trample, ETB mill 4 cards. which could be things that you want. And Delirium at the beginning of your upkeep, lose 4 life unless there are 4 or more card types among creatures in your graveyard. Card is really, really cool, but not very powerful. Not really doing enough to make it into the kind of constructed playable territory for Explorer, Pioneer power level. Morcrit Necropod, Newsgrav Mob, Olivia's Bloodsworn, all kind of off the table as far as constructed playability. Newsgrav Mod might be a sweet one if you're trying to do like zombie stuff in Brawl. And then we've got Olivia's Dragoon, has that free discard ability, which, you know, there is some potential for that. Again, like, free discard outlets are interesting. Pick the Brain is a bit of a weird one. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. But then if you have Delirium, and you have 4 more types in your graveyard, you search that player's graveyard, hand, or library for any number of copies of the cards of the same name, and exile them. We do have some extraction effects available in the format. We saw Invasive Surgery, obviously, when we were looking through the blue cards. We do have better versions of this effect, so I don't think it'll see play. There's always a little bit of potential. Relentless Debt is a nice card for zombies. Black for a 2/2 of Menace. When it dies, you can pay black if you do return it to its hand. And then also, whenever it dies, you can pay X, and if you do return another zombie from your graveyard to the battlefield, where mana value is X. It's a really nice one for letting the zombies deck grind a bit versus control, and decks trying to kill all your stuff. It's not very fast, and that's the only kind of strike against it. It might be a card that sees more play in kind of the sideboard of the zombies decks than in the main deck, but it is still about, and I'm sure it still will see a bit of play there. Rise from the Grave, Ruthless Disposal, Sanitarium, Skeleton, all kind of sweeping these under the rug. None of these really looking to impact the format. Moving on, only a few cards left. So Stormcut Condemned. Black for a 2/2 Vampire. Discard a card, vampires you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn, activate only once each turn. It is a free discard outlet, which I've already mentioned is quite powerful in its own right. That pumps all your vampires. So if you're playing a vampire deck with Olivia and trying to take advantage of some of the madness themes there, is pretty powerful. And so, pretty cool card. Throwman Foulblood's not a card for constructed, and then Trio Petition is a sweet one for stuff like Brawl. If they ever implement some kind of 4-player commander thing like we had in Duels of the Planeswalkers, that'd be neat. But yeah, you can swap life points around. The one exception for Trio Petition is if you have a way to turn off Defender and let it attack for 13 damage with its toughness. We've not really seen a successful version of this deck, but hey, I guess it's around. And then the last 2 cards, we've got Triskaidekaphobia here. 3 and a black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1. Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, and then each player gains a life. Or each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, and that player loses a life. Yeah. Not for constructed. And then Weird Vampire, also not so. And that is all the black cards in Shadows Over Innistrad Remastered. Again, super disappointed we didn't get Behold Beyond. Not sure what's up with that. They also chose not to include Crypt Breaker, which is obviously already on Arena, but I thought they might do a similar thing like they've done to Spirits, where they have like all the cards of the archetype in one set. Would be kind of cool, but I understand why they didn't. Again, duplicate protection is super annoying. And then also, the other card that I find myself like, where did that go, is To the Slaughter. 2 and a black, target a player, sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and then if you've got 4 or more card types in your graveyard, they do both. It's a card that's seen players of one of every now and again. I'm disappointed it's not in the set. It's not a huge card for constructed, but it is one that is like nice to have around. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll be back with the rest of the colours over the next few days, and with a bunch of constructed decks when the set comes out on the 21st. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Peace out.